That means it is go time. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I appreciate it. Most of you guys know me, so don't think that I have to go into an introduction. I got to tell you, we have had just a tremendous amount of people that are reaching out about the IX node projects that we are involved with. So we thought the easiest way to be able to get the information out and to be able to answer the questions is start hosting a couple of webinars a day. So with that, what we're going to do today is we are going to dive in a little bit to just the ecosystem that is being built here, the different node projects that are available, how it all works, what is node mining in the first place. So we're going to get into that and just talk a little bit about cryptocurrency. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen. Somebody just commented on my wall button. So let's go. Here. So where I'm going to be going first, just so you guys know, so that you guys have access to the same information that I'm going to be sharing, is I am going to be sharing thedebtbox.com, which is a website that if you want to do a little research on, I definitely would encourage you to write that down. It's called thedebtbox.com. So with that, let's start off by talking just a little bit about the purpose of cryptocurrency. You know, I'm just going to assume that most people that are on are novices or they're just starting to learn about cryptocurrency. The whole purpose behind cryptocurrency, you know, I've always been in alignment with it simply because it is all about being decentralized. I am not a huge fan of the Federal Reserve. I'll just admit that to you, especially after I just saw the inflation rates that came out today. You know, I've always just struggled with this when you look up the Federal Reserve's approach to money in circulation, there's one word that they use to describe their approach, and it's flexible. And what that means is that they can print money anytime that they want. And that's something that is troubling because, as we all know, the more and more and more that they print, the more that it devalues our dollar. And if you've looked at what has happened to the value of our dollar since it was taken off of the gold standard, it's lost approximately 86% of its overall value. I think there's some reports out that they've printed more money in the last 3-4 years than they've printed in the last 20 years combined. So for me, that's a problem. And the result of that problem is what we're seeing today. So cryptocurrency is this idea that we don't necessarily have to go through this entity. It's not even the government. That's another thing. The government is not even a government agent, or the Federal Reserve is not even a government agency. It's independently owned. Well, my first question is, by who? And we should all be asking that question. So cryptocurrency was created to be able to navigate around that centralized oversight, so to speak. And it's a lot quicker, it's a lot faster, it's a lot more efficient. You know, I'll give you some examples. So if I wanted to go and wire, you know, $100,000 to a friend of mine, let's say in Costa Rica, I'd have to go into the bank. They're going to make me fill out all kinds of forms. I'm going to have to spend all kinds of money, all kinds of fees. It's going to take probably 3 to 5 days to get that money there. During that process, they're going to be using my money and trading my money. And it's you know, it's a hassle. And yet I could send $100,000 to my friend Terry in Costa Rica right now. It would be there within a minute, and it would cost me 30 cents or so, maybe even a little less, to be able to send that money. So to be able to transact without government interference, and it's really currency for the people, by the people. Now, when Bitcoin first came out 11 years ago, it was still a little sketchy. It was a little bit like, where do you buy it? You had to find somebody that was selling it. It was almost like you had to go find somebody in a dark alley somewhere to buy it. And then if you wanted to sell it, you had to go find somebody in a dark alley that wanted to buy it. And so it was a little bit, you know, it was new. People didn't understand it. And here's one thing that I know: people will resist change like it is the plague. They will absolutely resist change like it's the plague. Would you guys agree? People they get set in their ways. And so when cryptocurrency first came out, there was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of resistance. And what's happened is over time, people started to see the value in blockchain technology. They started to see the value in digital currency. And especially over the last couple of years in the world of COVID that changed everything, everything went digital, right? Very few people today, including myself, I don't remember the last time that I even stepped foot in my bank because I do everything online. When you look at the younger generation, the millennials that are coming up, I have a son who's 22 years old. He refers to cryptocurrency as new money, and he refers to fiat currency as old money. They are very used to being able to transact digitally. They're very used to doing all of their banking online. It's very consistent with the way that they do things. And for that reason, cryptocurrency has seen some significant global adoption over the last 5 years, especially, and even in the last 2 years. You know, what I find that's interesting is only a couple of years ago, banks were saying, don't invest in cryptocurrency. We don't even consider it a true asset class. Goldman Sachs, the CEO, is saying that it was a waste. JP Morgan was saying, you know what, warning all of their people not to get involved in cryptocurrency. This is 24 months ago. I don't know if you guys saw, but about 3 weeks ago, JP Morgan removed real estate as their alternative investment class, and they replaced it with cryptocurrency. I don't know if you guys have seen recently, but Goldman Sachs is buying up all kinds of different cryptocurrency companies. So it's pretty interesting how they flip-flop very quickly. And you guys know what that means, right? It means that they have figured out how to capitalize on it. They just had to figure it out. If you guys watched the Super Bowl this year, you probably saw cryptocurrency on all kinds of different commercials. You're seeing all kinds of banks to storefronts, restaurants that are starting to accept cryptocurrency, and you're going to see more and more of that adoption. But with that being said, only 4% of the total population today owns cryptocurrency. So what does that tell me? It tells me that there is a tremendous opportunity, especially when it comes to educating people about this space and also helping people to understand where there is opportunity. In the world of cryptocurrency, what we have seen is a very volatile environment over the last 11 years. There have been major swings in cryptocurrency, and it's true, it's a new currency. But with those swings comes tremendous opportunity. And what we should be looking at are not just the all-time highs, but what we really should be paying attention to is the all-time lows. Because if you look at the market cap as a whole, or if you look at Bitcoin, which is clearly the leading coin out there that kind of controls and triggers these swings upwards or downwards, what you would see is a low that has continued to climb over and over and over. So for example, right now we are at a low. We are in a crypto crash and Bitcoin is at 20,000. I remember 2 years ago when people would say, man, I just hope Bitcoin gets to 20,000. And here we are, and it's now crashed at 20,000. But here's the interesting thing to me, and I've been in this space for 6 years. I was mining Ethereum when it was below $100 per coin. The interesting thing to me is I've been through 4 crashes. Every time that crypto crashes, you see all this FUD set in, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You see the media jump all over it. And it's interesting. There's like all the I told you so people love to come out of the woodworks every time that crypto crashes. And, you know, all of the critics start saying, man, see, crypto's it's gonna go away. It's never gonna make it. And then it comes back even stronger. And we see Bitcoin go, to 65,000, which was the last bull run around. In the last 18 months, it's been a great environment. But this is the thing that interests me. When it's 65,000, everybody's like, I got to get into crypto. I got to get into crypto when it's at its peak. And you know what they also say? They say, man, if I could just get in to Bitcoin, if I could have just got in when it was only 20,000. Oh my gosh. So here's what happens. Crypto starts to crash. Right now, the cryptocurrency markets are responding to the stock market crashing. They're responding to the recession and the inflation that we're experiencing. So where's Bitcoin at today? Right at about $20,000. And the funny thing is, everybody's afraid to touch it. Isn't that interesting? So the fear and uncertainty and doubt works. But here's what I want you to know. Savvy investors, there's a saying that you buy when there is blood in the streets. And savvy investors know that when all of this fear and uncertainty sets in, people start selling, even at a loss, because they don't want to lose any more money. But here's what you have to understand. Somebody else's loss or your loss may be somebody else's gain, because savvy investors are buying up those people that are selling right now. And pretty soon the bears will clear out of the market, the people that are selling, the people that are afraid. And when that happens, the bulls will come running back in and it'll drive the next climb in this space. What you have to understand if you want to make money, especially in cryptocurrency, and it's very similar in many other markets, is that wealth is created with the decisions that are made in bear markets. It's realized during bull markets. And that's what we are doing is we are helping people to understand that there are different opportunities and ways to make money. Now, let's take a look at what's happened in crypto the last few years. There's been a lot of great opportunities, but there's also been a lot of scams. You have to be careful. And this is one of the reasons why there are a lot of critics that are out there, or people that are fearful to come into this space. There are a lot of ICOs and meme coins and pump and dumps. Let's talk about them, ICOs. So what that would be is, Brandon, I would say to you, hey, look, I'm launching a coin. You invest $100,000 into my project, and I will give you 10 million of my tokens. They're not worth anything today, but man, Brandon, this project, it's going to be amazing. And you know what? These tokens are going to be worth $20, $30 in the next few years, and you're going to be rich. So you're thinking, man, this sounds great. I'm going to invest $100,000. What I'm trying to do is raise liquidity for my project. The problem is that, you know, for every 1 in 100 that we hear, or for every project that we hear about where somebody hit it big in an ICO, which they do happen, you know, that's 1 in 100. The other 99 don't make it. They never raise enough liquidity, or the owners end up mismanaging the funds, or the project never ends up on an exchange. And so you end up holding that 10 million coins, Brandon, but you can't cash it out. And I'm sure many of you have heard or seen in the news, or people that you know that have coins and they try to go and cash out, and there's just no liquidity there. So that happens a lot in the ICO markets. Let's talk about meme coins. There have been all kinds of coins that have been introduced over the last, you know, few years even, that have zero value. You know, some of them were jokes. They were launched at jokes, but all of a sudden you get a guy like Elon Musk, who, you know, I'm a fan of, by the way, but he tweets about something like Dogecoin that was created as a joke, and all of a sudden the coin takes off, right? So there's no substance there. It is hype. Yes, you can make money if you happen to time it right, but I'm going to tell you, more people lose money chasing the hype and chasing the next pump than the people that do that actually get lucky and win in that environment. There are celebrities that are hired, like Kim Kardashian and Jake Ryan, who, or Floyd Mayweather, that are basically paid to go out and promote projects or coins. The problem is what they don't disclose to you is that, you know, somebody like Floyd Mayweather probably was given millions and millions of these coins to go out and talk about it and promote it. So he does exactly that. People get excited about it. They jump on the bandwagon. And what happens? The value starts to go up. But the owners are holding the market share, the large majority of the market share. You've got the influencer who's holding a large majority of the market share. So it goes up. What do? They sell. What happens to the coin? Bottom falls out. And we've seen this over and over and over again. And so, you know, what I'm sharing with you are some of the challenges. I believe that the last bull run was driven by these meme coins and these influencers. And because we saw Bitcoin go up to 65,000, we saw Ethereum go up to 2,400. People were excited and they jumped in on a lot of these projects. I believe the next bull run will be driven by a few things. I believe that it'll be driven by tangibility. Instead of talking about what we're going to do, people are going to look for projects of what they are doing already. Substance, not hype. They're going to be looking for things that aren't just speculative. They're going to be looking for credibility. They're going to be looking for things that have true backing. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, and the reason why I got involved with this particular project. So that kind of summarizes a little bit about the cryptocurrency space. Let's talk a little bit about just mining for just a moment. So with cryptocurrency, what makes cryptocurrency possible is the blockchain. You've probably heard the term blockchain technology. Every single, well, not every single, but many of the coins that are out there operate on their own blockchain. So I'll give you an example. Bitcoin has their own blockchain. Ethereum has their own blockchain. Those are called coins. Then you have tokens that don't have their own blockchain. They typically adopt somebody else's blockchain and they operate on that blockchain. We operate on the Binance blockchain. So what does that mean? A blockchain is simply a ledger. It's a transactions, it's a record of all of the transactions that have taken place on that particular blockchain. And there's a lot of value to blockchain technology. You know, all kinds of different industries are finding purpose and ways to be able to utilize blockchain to be able to advance their technology, to be able to advance their business. But what allows that blockchain to function are mining licenses, also referred to as nodes. So blockchains require nodes to operate. A node is a piece of software. It can be a piece of hardware and software that connects to other nodes in the blockchain to create a network. And these nodes are where data is stored. It's where data is received. It's where data is transmitted, excuse me. And these nodes are crucial to networking security and integrity. Otherwise, you would just have people that are copying or duplicating digital currency. It's been one of the biggest challenges and things that have kept digital currency from progressing before crypto is the fact that it was so easy to copy and essentially duplicate. So this allows each one of these transactions to have individuality. So each blockchain has a different protocol or way of validating these transactions. Again, Bitcoin protocol is different than Ethereum. And then, of course, what happens is, as a transaction takes place, what these nodes are doing is they are validating the transaction. Kind of a way to look at it would be, think of a merchant processor. You go swipe your credit card at, let's say, Home Depot. And that then goes to the merchant, and the merchant ultimately clears that transaction. You don't even realize that you're going to whatever merchant services that they are using because you're transacting at Home Depot. In the same way, every transaction that takes place on these particular blockchains go to the node holders, and ultimately those node holders share. They actually, when they process a transaction, they receive a reward, and that reward is in the form of a token. And they share, as more and more people come online, they share in that profitability. So let me give you an example. When Bitcoin first came out, people were mining Bitcoin when it was next to nothing. I mean, we're talking about, pennies before it hit dollars, before it hit hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars. And at that time, there weren't a lot of people online mining it because people didn't know what it was. Those people accumulated a large amount of token when the value of the coins were insignificant. But those people were able to benefit significantly as the awareness went up. More and more nodes started to come online, to the point where today you and I could not compete in the Bitcoin mining world. Why? Because it is so expensive to be able to compete from an electricity standpoint. It is so expensive to compete from you'd have to have all kinds of servers in a room. It would cost us hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. They have to have mining farms to be able to compete in the Bitcoin environment today. But there are some great projects out there that you can compete in. So the way that our project works is very simple. And I want to kind of, let me go into this. So first of all, you have number one, we know that the nodes enforce the rules of the protocol. All blockchain transactions must pass through nodes. Some nodes contain full transaction contraction. I've been talking a lot today. Transaction history. And then each blockchain has a different protocol. So how does DebtBox work, and who is DebtBox? So first of all, DebtBox was created by three gentlemen, Jake and Jason Anderson. Roy, I forget Roy's last name, but these guys were venture capitalists from Salt Lake City. They ran a very large hedge fund. They were mining Bitcoin when Bitcoin was below $100 per coin. So they've been in this space for quite some time. And they got into mining in Ghana, like mining actual gold and oil. And through that process, these guys, became very, very familiar and very well known in Ghana, because they would go in, and a lot of the mining companies would strip mine the land. They would go in and they'd plant thousands of trees, and they'd find water and they donate it to the villages. And so they gain the trust and respect of the shaman families that are like royalty, all the way up eventually to becoming friends with the king. In that process, they were introduced to some technology, and that technology allowed them to be able to scan the earth and identify pockets of pockets of oil and other commodities like gold. The reason why that's such a big deal is because when an oil company goes to drill, If they miss the artery or vein that they are drilling in, it can cost them millions of dollars. Their technology has the ability to pinpoint the oil in the earth to within 6 centimeters. So this is obviously extremely valuable to oil companies. And so they took this to oil companies and said, look, we can help you from an exploratory standpoint. We will partner with you as your exploratory company, and anything that we help you find, we want royalties on. And this became a very successful, fruitful partnership. They partnered with oil companies like Western Oil, Shell, Exxon. They now have mines or oil wells around the world. One example that I can give you, in fact, that one example that I can actually show you, just to kind of give you a chance to see what these projects look like, is a project in Nevada. So this particular oil well, they drilled in the 50s and 60s. They thought that it went dry. And with this new technology, they were able to discover a chamber that had tens of millions of barrels of oil that they didn't even know existed. That's the little, the pink that you see there. We're actually pulling about 15,000 barrels of oil a day out of this particular mine. And based on that rate, we'll be able to do that for over 10 years, just with this particular one project. So we have a number of projects, which minimizes the risk factor simply because of the fact that if you have one project and something happens, maybe regulatory shuts it down and your whole project relies on that one well, you're out of luck. In our case, we've got wells in Nebraska. We've got wells that are happening all over Ghana. We've got wells that are happening in Nevada. So, we've got quite a few different projects that are currently going right now, and that minimizes the overall risk. So with that, these guys decided to launch their first cryptocurrency because of their financial services background in November. They were tired of the meme coins that had no value. They were tired of all these coins that were all speculation. So they decided, what if we launched a coin that was actually backed by the oil in the oil well? And there we go. And so what ended up happening was this coin, Black Gold, was launched in November. And it went up 77,000%. 77,000% in the last 8 months. It's created over 200 millionaires, 1 millionaire every 3 days. And here's what's remarkable about it. While everything else has been going down over the last 5-6 months in the crypto space, it actually is still over 70,000% today. And so that was their first project. Their second project came out about 2 months ago, where there is oil, there is natural gas. And so, and not just normal natural gas, it's self-regenerative natural gas because it's a byproduct of the drilling process. So they decided to launch their second project, node project, called NatG. Every time one of these projects launches, they establish the amount of oil that they have, the amount of gas that they have, and then they equate that to the amount of licenses that they will sell. There is a limited supply. These are NFTs. So the licenses actually have value. And they establish a limited amount of coin. Whereas US dollar, we can just keep printing and printing and printing money, and we know what that does to the overall value. One of the things that makes their ecosystem and things like Bitcoin, crypto valuable is the fact that there is a limited supply. And that is all established based on the amount of oil, the amount of natural gas, the amount of gold, some of the other projects. It's all established based on what they have to back the actual coin. And that is the most important thing here, is that we actually have these projects that are backed by real world eco-friendly commodities. And that is why I am so excited. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys the back office. I want to show you guys how it works. And I want to show you some of the different projects. So first of all, let's get into just some of their projects that they've introduced. So again, I'm still on thedebtbox.com. Here are the different projects that they've come out with. Black Gold was the first one that kind of set the stage for the Debtbox. Then they came out with NatG, which is the second one backed by the natural gas. Then we have Grow. Grow is all about high yielding agriculture. And these guys are just brilliant. I've had a chance to meet with them many times and spent quite a bit of time with them. I talk to them almost daily now. So when you are an oil company, you have to offset the footprint that you have on the earth. And so you are required to buy carbon credits. Carbon credits are issued in many cases from farms that have the ability to be able to plant trees and plant things that contribute back to the earth. And so these oil companies are required to buy these carbon credits. And so what these guys have done is partnered with all kinds of different farms around the world. Many of them issue carbon credits. Well, if I am an oil company owner and I want to use their scan technology, I am now required to buy carbon credits from these particular farms, which funds the profitability, feeds into the GROW project. So just genius in what they're doing. Another project that they just came out with 3 yesterday. To put this into perspective of how big this is, you guys, we've done $77 million in sales in the last 24 hours. We have sold almost 930,000 licenses since we first have come out. We will hit 1 million licenses this month. The debt token, so this is our utility token. So this token here supports all of these projects. So when you go look up what coins are on what exchanges, you're not going to find all of these coins. You'll find debt. That is our master token that is paired with all of these. So I can exchange very easily. In fact, starting this week, we'll be able to, in an app, swap any one of these projects. I could swap NatG out and be able to convert it to debt, and then take debt to any of the exchanges that we're on, which we're on several. We're actually adding an exchange almost every single week right now. LBank just listed, just so you guys know, the debt coin in their top 10 coins. We were listed yesterday. LBank is the number 16th largest exchange in the world. So these are the validators that you want to be looking for to see, is this a real project? Does it really have tangibility? Is there already liquidity? Are they already on the exchanges? We did over $1 million in trading volume yesterday, just yesterday. So that hopefully puts things into perspective. DLG is gold, and it is every token is backed by bullion, actual gold bullion. So you can request to have your token. You can request an ounce of gold for every token that you own, and they'll send your token to the burn wallet, never to be used again. So it's actually backed by gold. There was just a law passed in Ghana that now requires every mining company to use our scan technology, and all of that feeds into this particular project. I'll go over the pricing on these nodes in just a moment. The Explorer project, I'm kind of excited about. This one's really fun. So we have partnered with SpaceX and Google and Boeing, and they are launching our satellite into space. We've been leasing space up to this point to run our scan technology. It's very expensive, leasing space on a satellite. And so we're now launching our own satellite. Others will be able to lease space off of our satellite. There's a set price, and all of that profitability goes into the Explorer project. And I think this one has some great potential. Aluminum, we just partnered with the largest bauxite mine in Ghana. Bauxite is a clay that turns into aluminum. This particular mining company facilitates, they do about 1.2 trillion tons of aluminum every year. They are responsible for a very large percentage of the aluminum cans that we see every single day. Aluminum is in high demand, and they have just hired us as their exploratory company to help them go from 1.2 tons to 5 million tons a year. And we will be rev sharing on all of that. Those profits go into the aluminum. These other projects will be coming soon. What they're doing is they're giving you an opportunity to be diversified, so that you're not just in one project, that you have the ability to be in agriculture, you can be in oil and gas, you can be in whatever it is that you are interested in. And some of these are a little more on the lower risk side, like gold, for example. It's backed by actual bullion. So let's say the coin were to go down, you can still exchange it for the gold and go sell your gold for whatever the price of the gold is. So those are more, that would be called a deliverable. And then we have our non-deliverables like oil and gas. I would say those have a little bit more potential, but they aren't necessarily, we can't send you a barrel of oil. So that's why we refer to it as a non-deliverable. On all of our non-deliverable projects, why did black gold go up and why did it do what it did? This to me is one of the biggest differentiators between our projects and anybody else out there in the marketplace. They have deflationary mechanisms that are in place that are absolutely brilliant. Let's use NatG as an example. So NatG, we have partners that mine our natural gas. This project has just come online. We're just literally, our drill just arrived on site. They're actually going there today. And we will start drilling. It takes about, the natural gas, the payload is down about 17,000 feet. So it'll take some time to get down there. Imagine that, 17,000 feet down into the earth. And then what they'll do is they'll extract that and they'll go sell that natural gas. About every quarter, they get their profits from who they're selling that natural gas to. Now, by the way, I don't know if you guys have paid attention to energy prices, but they continue to go up, which is, a good thing for us in this particular project. So when they get their profits, let's say that they get $10 million in profits, they don't put that in the bank. What they do is they go and buy existing coin that's in the ecosystem and they send it to the burn wallet so that it can never be used again. So I want you to think about this for a moment. If the demand is going up and more awareness is happening, more and more people are coming online with these nodes and the network because of popularity, right? Because we're becoming more and more well-known. So the demand is going up, and not only are the licensing supplies going down to the point where they'll be sold out, but now we're pulling out coin out of the ecosystem. So the demand is going up, the supply is going down. What happens to the price? What happened to the price in the housing market over the last couple of years when the demand went up and the supply went down? What happened to our housing market? It went through the roof. And that is why black gold went up 77,000%. Now, here's my disclaimer. The best, past performance does not guarantee future performance. I want you guys to know I'm not a financial advisor. Everything I'm sharing with you are just my opinions. There is risk involved. You should never obviously invest more than you can afford to lose. But with that being said, where are you going to put your money right now? You could put 100 grand in a savings account today. It's going to be worth 85 by the end of the year with inflation. You go put it in the stock market. Well, $3 trillion in retiree funds have been lost in the stock market alone this year. You go put it in real estate. Well, real estate's already kind of hit its bubble and we're starting to see it coming down on the other side. So where do you put your capital to work to offset that 9.1% inflation rate that was hit today? You know what that's like? That's like literally having a 10% pay reduction on a yearly basis. So what people are asking me is, how can I put my money to work? What projects can I put my money in that are tangible, that actually have true substance that can help me to offset that inflation and give me some of that upside potential, especially in the cryptocurrency market, where right now we're in a down market, in a bear market, that will allow me to accumulate a lot of tokens so that I can enjoy the next bear run or bull run when it takes off. And that's what this is. So I'm going to show you my back office. Okay. There we go. So this is my back office. And when you first become a license holder, it takes about 72 hours to activate your license, your individual licenses. And by the way, this is very important. You get your own license. People ask me all the time, well, how's this different than companies like OneCoin that got shut down by the SEC, where the owner is now on the top 10 FBI's most wanted list and she's in hiding? The difference is that they said they were mining, but they really weren't. They were literally taking the new money coming in to pay out, percentages, but there was never any mining. It was just a scheme. So you get your own license. These licenses are valid for 10 years. You are an owner of that license. You can sell it. It's willable. It's transferable. You can hold it. It is an NFT. So like NFTs, there is a potential for the value to go up. And I can give you kind of some examples of how that's already happened in my case. So, and if you want the node sent to you, it's about the size of a router. It uses about $2 to $3 a month in electricity. And you can put 20 licenses on it. And as long as you're connected to the internet, it's working for you. You don't have to do anything. I do cloud mining. I don't even want to worry about that because I hate my internet provider. It always goes down and I don't want to take the chance of losing money if my internet goes down. So let me just show you. So this is my back office. When you log in, this is the dashboard. So what you see here is if there's any updates or news, then, that's here. And then over on the left-hand side, you have, whatever is, the value of your coins that you've mined at that time. If you haven't withdrawn it, it's sitting in there. And then you have your portfolio balance over here. And one thing that I want to point out is today, because of the economic news, the cryptocurrency industry as a whole is way down. The coins are not responding well to today's news. I don't think there's anything in the green that I've seen in the crypto space right now, especially this week, because they've been expecting this news. The fact that we're even in the green is mind-boggling based on what's going on. And that just gives you an idea of understanding of how people feel about tangible products that are backed by real world commodities. We were up like 19% yesterday. So it's, it makes sense that we're, not up as much today, but I'll be honest with you. I don't really care what the price is today. That's not what my focus is. My focus, let me go over to my rewards. I have 10 NatG licenses and I have one utility debt license, which is the master utility. I just picked up a DLG, an Explorer, and an Aluminum. Those are not activated yet. And my next one that I'm picking up is Black Gold. So some people collect stamps. Some people collect, I don't know, beanie. Remember when people collected Beanie Babies and the prices of a little bear went through the roof? I'm collecting licenses. This for me is a retirement strategy. I believe that if I can accumulate enough tokens over the next couple of years, it will put me into a very good position. And I'll explain why. So if you look up here at my mining balance in the last 7 or 8 weeks since I started mining, I have almost 12 million NatG tokens. Now it sounds cool, but if you look at the price over here, it's at 0.0004. So it's not even a penny, right? We haven't even started the project yet. So we just started drilling. We haven't even had our first burn yet, where we take in our profits and go and buy and send them to the burn wallets. So this will take time to mature. This is a minimum of a 1 to 2 year project for me, minimum. This is not one of those projects that I'm trying to buy, hoping to double 50%, 100% and sell tomorrow. That's not what this is. You have to give, especially these newer projects that have just come online, time to develop and time for the tokenomics to kick in, for the transactions to start taking place. As every transaction takes place, there's a percentage that's sent to the burn wallet. One thing that they've also done, so there is a 10% transaction fee, which kind of startles people at first. But if you understand what it's doing, 2% gets to the burn wallet, 4% gets sent to support the getting us on more and more exchanges and those type of things. 4% gets sent to the liquidity pool. But the reason why they did that is to keep out whales and snipers. Whales come in and buy up a large majority and they'll try to short your coin. They'll crash your coin. Snipers are day traders that pick apart your coin. They can't do that because they don't want to pay that fee, and they don't. And traders, they operate in such small margins that they can't do that here. So it's protecting the ecosystem as a whole. But again, that deflationary mechanism where every time somebody withdraws money, which means they're transitioning to another coin or cash, they're sending money to the burn wallet. So with that being said, my goal is to accumulate as many of these tokens as I can. I think that I'll have somewhere around 30, 40 million tokens in the next 3, 4 months, 6 months, somewhere in there. Well, what happens if this token goes from 0.0004 to even 1 cent? That's a 6-figure return based on where I'm at even today. What happens if that goes to 10 cents? Well, that's a 7-figure return. What happens if that goes to $1? I'm drinking out of a coconut for the rest of my life on a beach somewhere. Is it possible? Yes. Is it guaranteed? No. This is where you have to ask yourself some questions. Do you believe that cryptocurrency is either going to become more popular or less popular over the next 5 years? I personally believe that we will see more and more global adoption. Do you believe that projects that are backed by real world commodities, one of the first cryptocurrency ecosystems to actually back it by something of value, is going to have a demand in the marketplace? If the answer is yes, then the last question that I would ask you is do you believe that more and more people, as they become aware of this project, are going to want to be involved because they're trying to figure out where to put their capital right now? And if the answer is yes, then the tokenomics kick in, everything else takes care of itself. Same way that black gold, by the way, the only difference between black gold and Nat G is 9 months because the tokenomics are the exact same. So for me, I'm a big believer in this project as well as many of the other projects. So for that reason, I won't sell for a year. I won't sell for a minimum of a year because I want to make sure that this gets time to mature. And I'm not going to be one of the ones that sells when it hits a penny and then watch it go to $1. I've spent a lot of time with the owners. I can't, give any guarantees that, what this will do, but I have an idea of what they think it'll do. And that is exciting to me. And so right now, I'm not worried about price points. This fluctuates daily. I mean, we were up 19% yesterday. It's 0.0004 today. My balance was, it'll go from 4,700, it was 5,100 this morning. It'll go up to 6,200 tonight. So this balance fluctuates. Now, some of you might say, well, is it liquid? If I needed to pull my money out, yes, this is your wallet. Nobody has access to it. You will get the seed phrases. Don't ever lose them because no one else can, you can't request another password because that would mean someone could get into your wallet. So you need to put them in a safe somewhere. I can click withdraw and I can transfer this today, transfer it to USDT, and I can literally go right over to PancakeSwap and transfer it to USDT or USD, US dollar. And basically that money would be in my account within an hour. So it is fully liquid if you need to access it. The way I look at it is, I put $25,000 into those 10 Nat Gs personally. I know for a fact, even if I cashed out right now at this price, which is down even the last few hours, that my $25,000 would have not made me $4,758 if it was sitting in a bank. So I've put my capital to work. And I'm collecting coins. I didn't buy, I want to be very clear. We don't sell coins. We don't sell investments. We don't sell returns. What we sell is hardware and software that allows you to facilitate transactions on the Binance blockchain. And you are choosing which one of these projects you would like to be a part of. That's what makes this legal. So let's see, what else can I show you here? So you've got your portfolio. So you get in here and you can start to build a portfolio. Now, some of you might say, well, where is this portfolio balance coming from? When I originally bought my NatG nodes, they started off at 2,000. They went up to 2,500. Today, they're at 3,250. If you buy more than 2, they go down to 3,000. We have some that are a little bit lower, but what happens is again, as the demand goes up and the availability goes down, the value of these licenses starts to increase. Now, you can go directly to DET and you can buy a license. DET sells their licenses at retail. DET is selling the NatG license for $40,000 right now. They're selling the Black Gold license for $50,000 right now. Because IX Global, and this is where IX Global comes in. So IX Global is a 2-year-old company. They do hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, crypto education, teach master classes on crypto, NFTs. They, have business around the world. They have now become the strategic partner of DebtBox and the exclusive partner of DebtBox for these nodes in the direct sales industry. So by becoming a member of IX Global, what they did is they bought a large amount of licenses at a set price when they first came out. So you can still get a Black Gold license for $3,250 when it's selling for 40 grand at DET. You can still get a Black Gold license for $6 when it's selling for 50 at DET. So there are some advantages. There's only a few of the Black Golds left because there's a lot of value there. I was talking to the owner yesterday, I had a friend of mine, and he says, look, I pulled 25 grand out of the stock market before it crashed. I'm looking for a place to put it. What should I do? Which node should I buy? And I happened to be talking to the owner, and I just said, let me ask him. And so I said, Jason, you had 25 grand, what nodes would you buy? And he kind of laughs. He says, that's the loaded question I always get. And he said, it's like asking, which kid do you like the most that you have? He says, it really depends. It depends on your risk tolerance. It depends on what you like. Some people like oil and gas. Some people want to be in gold. He said, but I do know this. I sold a Black Gold license for $49,000 yesterday. It's like 49,000 and some change. He said, I know that Joe at IX, Joe's the owner, he has a few licenses left that are at 6K. And he goes, and if I could take those back, I would take them back in a heartbeat because we're selling them for 50 all day long. He's like, so When he said that to me, it's, by the way, what I told you earlier, I'm buying a black gold license because I'm like, okay, I got to get one of these. So anyways, but let me go through all the pricing on all of them, and then you guys can, and we'll kind of wrap up here so you guys can see what the prices are of each one of these. So the Nat G license, this is the one that came out a couple of months ago, started at $2,000. It's at $3,250 per license right now. Debt is no longer available. They're sold out. So this is a highly valuable license at this point. So if I could sell this license today, it's now mining one full coin a day is about $22 per coin. Over here, 0.0004. Can you imagine if Nat G goes to $22 per coin? Black gold came out at 1,000. Today it's through IX, it's 6,000. And then DLG just came out Monday. That's backed by gold. That's gold. It's 1,500 per license per node. Grow is $2,000 per license. Explorer satellite, $1,000, a $1,000 node. Aluminum $1,000 node. These are entry-level price points. There is no profit for them at that price point. For IX Global, they're simply getting the nodes online and starting to get the network going and getting the awareness out there. So typically what they'll do is sell the first 500 or 1,000 licenses at that price point, and then you'll see it go to 1,250, 1,500, 2,000. As the project matures and the value of the coins start to go up, you'll also see the value of the licensing going up. So back to that overall portfolio, based on those Nat G licenses selling at 40 grand a piece, you take my total balance plus the value of my NFTs, and I have a portfolio balance of $408,000. And I started with 25. So again, past performance doesn't equal future performance. We can't guarantee anything. But at the end of the day, what you can do is you can negate risk. You can negate risk by looking at the past and learning from it. Meme coins, pump and dumps, those type of things, learning to know what to look for. And then you can start to look at real world tangible products. And you can ask yourself the questions that I shared with you. And if you believe that cryptocurrency is going to be in our future and that it's going to continue to grow, then it comes down to timing. And timing is everything in business. You can position yourself early on in any one of these node projects. It's just like this. In the beginning picture, a pool that has $1 million in it, and there's only one person in it. That person is getting 100% of that pool. But if 10 people are in it, he's only getting 100,000. If 1,000 people are in it, then it's less and less, right? So over time, what happens is the payouts become less and less. I showed you guys the daily payouts right now. So on Nat G, the daily payout, yesterday I mined 217,000 coins. I have 10 licenses. So you can do the math and see what each license is paying out. It's 21,700 or so Nat G tokens a day per license. Can that go down? Yes, it can. Over time, it will. But also the value will go up, right? If I were to show you my debt, and this is a new online license for me. Yesterday, I mined one coin, not 22,000, one coin, but the value is $22. Now, even if it never went up, you guys, this is a 10-year license for me. So I'm still going to win, even if the value never went up, just because I have can't use the word asset. I have a software license that is essentially going to be mining for 10 years, and I'm going to be collecting tokens for that period of time. So for me, this made sense. For me, I really liked this project. I know that there are other cryptocurrency education companies out there that do their trading and all of these different things, mirrored trades. And I like mining. I've known a lot of people that have made a lot of money in this space. And it really comes back to the fact that these are backed by real world commodities. I will actually be on tour with the owners next week, and I will be going to the different sites where we will be showing people the mining rigs. We will be showing them the oil in the ground. We just hit a dome in Nebraska. And so they're out there today. We've got the drill hitting the Vegas mine to start drilling there as we speak this week as well. So I'm going to be going to all of these different sites, and I'm going to be doing lives and videos. And I can assure you, for those of you that are looking at this from a opportunity standpoint, some of you might just be here because you want to invest in nodes and put your money to work for you. Some of you might be looking at the business side of this. We didn't do a business presentation today. I'm more focused on the product right now, but what I want you to understand is from a direct sales standpoint, there's no other company in the world that has this. Every single cryptocurrency company out there was fighting to get the exclusive rights to this product, and IX Global got it. So I am excited, and some of you saw this, I announced this week that I came on board as a consultant, kind of as a global ambassador to be a liaison between DET and between IX Global, so that we can take these node projects, simplify the messaging, and create duplication systems for those that want to go out and share this. So with that, I think that's all I've got for you guys today. I'm going to be doing another one of these at 6 o'clock tonight. I do appreciate you guys being here. I am open to feedback. I'm kind of still getting my rhythm on presenting and kind of what I want to share and what I want to show. So any feedback that you may have, I'm always open to it. And with that, if you have any questions, get back to the person that invited you to our community. If you haven't seen our community on Facebook yet, we have a very powerful community that you can just see firsthand and learn what people are doing. So we have, my inbox has been going crazy here. So you can see over here, we have the DET group. You can come in, and up on the featured section up here, there are some great presentations. One of the things that I had to do as part of my due diligence before I invested was I wanted to interview the owners. So this interview was done before I invested. I'm glad that I recorded it because it's now a great resource to share with others. And so I often have people start here, and then you can watch any of our, we go live on a regular basis. This is the interview, by the way, right here as well. You can see people are tagging a lot of people as part of our ATM system. Updates and news from last night. So we talked a little bit about some price adjustments and things. And so you can kind of plug in here and start learning about these projects as well, if you're not ready to go. You can secure a position in IX Global. If you're here because I invited you here, we are launching our teams right now. Positioning is everything. So you can secure a position, and those individuals that lock arms with me and want to go build a team with me between now and as we move forward, they have an opportunity to be able to benefit off of everything that I do just from a prime positioning standpoint. So getting positioned is $115, just so you know, to secure a position as a member in IX Global. And then you can make the decision if you want to get into the node projects or not. So with that, thank you guys very much for tuning in today. We'll be back at 6 o'clock tonight. Feel free to invite some friends to come and join us. And with that, you guys have an awesome day today.